Hello, and welcome back to Chill In. I'm Tyler.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And I'm Harley.
Yeah, we did it. We didn't fuck it up.
Let's go.
There's always a small
Five
there's a small
episodes
fear every
in.
time. Every time I do an intro, I'm like, are we gonna fuck it up? We're gonna fuck up the order. I beat Persona 5, guys. We did it.
Good.
Good for you, man.
I set myself that homework last time, and I made sure to complete it.
Nice.
Banging game.
Do you
Epic
have a-
ending.
Is the rating updated, or do you reckon you keep it the same?
Yeah, I'm confident with the rating I gave it originally.
Okay, cool.
After leaving the experience, I was like, yep, I think I was right with that take.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad.
But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and I had a lot of fun. Like throughout the whole experience, I do have Persona 5 Strikers now,
Yes.
which I can play at some point, and so I will probably be doing that at some point. But yeah, no, it's been a busy month playing a different game. We'll talk about that later though. But Harley,
Hello.
your homework.
What was my homework?
What was Harley's homework?
Holly's homework, I remember, he was to bring a fact of a film. I said him that homework.
That's true.
Okay.
A background, like a behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You got one for us?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so quite coincidentally, actually, me and Tyler have been binge watching a lot of horror movies at the moment, like the classic slasher movies. And the one we've on recently is Friday the 13th, and we're having a blast watching all those films and how ridiculous they are. It's great. But a fact from the first film. Here we go, guys. If you're sensitive to things happening to animals, just mute for like the next minute. So basically, they're in a scene. There's a snake, and there's like, oh my god, they panic and like, oh my god, there's a snake, and they go, what do I do? Oh, kill it, get it out. So basically, they legit decapitated a snake on set.
Oof.
Without telling the people like who supplied the snake, that they were gonna do that.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the actors.
No.
Without telling the actors, the people who provided the snake just saw the snake they provided be killed without their consent.
Yeah. The actor
Just
just
a
fell
straight
on
up
board.
murder took place.
So you see that snake actually be decapitated and die on screen.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Yeah, it was,
That's actually crazy.
There you go.
I thought it was fake, and then Harley told me afterwards, and I was like, oh shit.
Kind of makes sense not telling the actors for like to get their genuine reaction or whatever, right? I don't know what the scene looks like. I haven't watched the movie, but the people who provided, that's crazy.
Yeah, because like they've done that with like It. I know they didn't show the kids specifically what Pennywise looked like, and then they like chased them down a corridor. So they're like, there's a real reactions and shit. But that's just murder, man. That was just
But they probably knew that was a clown. A clown.
No, obviously they knew there was a clown, but they had no idea that the clown. I don't think they were supposed to show up in that scene. I think I can't remember. I have to look into it, but it was interesting.
Yeah, that's wild. Do you have any book updates?
Yeah.
To be honest, I have been really busy this month. We'll get to that in a minute, but I haven't
had
a chance to pick up a book or find a book. I'm like, I'll read that.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Oh well.
Mr. Busy Man.
Yeah.
Mr. Busy Man.
With his busy man.
That's
busy.
cringe.
Cringe.
What was the other homework?
Cringe,
Tom, did you do your homework?
I had a little bit of homework this month. First, Tyler jokingly said, "Oh yeah, Tom, get a new job," and I did.
Oh God.
And guess what? Say what?
What?
I'm in the works of getting a new
Why?
job.
I don't understand.
Next podcast, job update. We're going to find out if he's in another job.
Yeah, it is bad, and I can understand how people listening, who've listened to every episode, are like, surely not. Surely he hasn't jumped from job to job to job. And I wish that was true. It is. I legit am jumping from job to job. That is a truth about my life. But I'm predicting this one is the one I'm gonna stay with for the rest of the year.
All right,
that's my prediction. That's my prediction. That's my homework for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Keep this one job. And I want to clarify, I'm not getting fired from these jobs. I'm leaving willingly. It's not. They're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with them. But yeah, my other
piece of homework.
my other piece of homework, and more importantly, more revolutionary, I suppose, is Harley and Tyler decided. Harley suggested, and Tyler, I suppose, agreed.
Yeah.
For me to start my anime adventure.
Let's go.
In order to watch JoJo. Now, JoJo Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, have I watched it? Yes, I did.
Nice.
I watched the entirety of Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I do that, I watched almost, I think, the entirety of Part 2.
Ah.
Sick.
I guess by me continuing to watch it, I did enjoy it. It's
go.
fun. It is quite fun. It's like it's a very weird show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It clues in the name.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre. Yeah. But it's like it's so serious in its silliness that's like, whoa, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, JoJo spoilers, I suppose. Skip a little bit if you care. I'm in Part 2. I'm at the bit where JoJo finds out Lisa, which I think it's funny that they do Lisa then JoJo. It's like, so yeah, and that was a nice foreshadow, maybe, to the fact that JoJo is her son.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite cute. Because I was always confused because they were explaining, like, I saw JoJo in the beginning, the new one, Joseph.
Joseph,
Yeah, Joseph.
And it's like, wait, how the fuck? Who's this guy?
Mm-hmm.
But then and then it slowly explained, oh, she was pregnant. I was like, wow, she was pregnant. I didn't even know that the other two had fucked. Anyway.
Well, we all know what happened to the last guy, so
Yeah.
salutes.
The
goat.
But yeah, I thought, because from people talking about JoJo around me, I thought Dio was like the main villain throughout the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll come back. I don't know. But I really liked the Pillar guys. I'm enjoying the Pillar guys, the Pillar dudes.
Their theme song goes crazy.
Yeah, theme song's pretty good. Sometimes I'm like when I'm watching it and like an episode really, like I've been taken aback or something.
Yeah.
I watched the outro like in its entirety.
Oh, the outro
like,
is so good.
Yeah, roundabout. Oh. Yeah, I just listened to that, like, because it really calms me down for whatever reason. Like after the craziness that whatever happened in the episode previous. I will say the whole Lisa being the mom, it's weird. For the one thing about like when JoJo was creeping on her.
Yep.
It was already weird.
And now it's worse.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, no, very well done.
Keep going.
Did my homework.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And I guess I'll just continue watching until the show gets bad.
Yeah.
Gets bad.
I don't think it necessarily gets bad.
I've heard that it does.
I
so,
don't
I don't know.
It's more.
It's a debate. It just it is a debate at the end of the day.
I'll do what Hideo Kojima said. If it starts being shit, drop it.
I think the next part is great, but it is very long. But
Very
I
long.
think
Right.
you'll enjoy the new aspect that changes the whole show.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when Persona begins.
Yeah, pretty
the
much.
Persona
Right.
tie-ins.
I have, because like I hear a lot about the Stan stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just you wait.
And I'm like, why? I'm enjoying this Hamon.
Yeah.
Enjoy whilst it lasts, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh,
You and
is
us
it-
all,
is it
brother,
that?
because it just goes from here.
Damn, that sucks.
It does suck.
Yeah.
It is one of my things.
I do like the lineage of Hamon stuff, and it's like the
Yeah.
thing that fights this dark power or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like a simple man.
It'd be dope if we had a new part and they used Harmon. I'd be so down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, even though I did well on this homework, I still haven't gone back to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
However, JoJo has been inspiring me a bit. I mean,
Hell
obviously,
yeah.
I don't want to look like those guys, but like, fuck me,
Yeah, no.
like they're crazy. The way like the art style is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And, the one thing I'm waiting for JoJo is the meme, the "you're approaching me" or whatever.
yeah.
Well, you got some time
yeah.
till.
Yeah, you got
that's what I'm
hefty
waiting
journey.
for. how's our month been, guys?
How
Who won't go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Been busy, obviously working on the show that I said last time,
Yeah.
and and working. You know, it was a struggle to find time to play the game that we decided to play.
Right.
Also juggling other things as well. But yeah, I don't think anything revolutionary has happened this month. It's been pretty busy and just living and vibing.
Yeah.
How's the new job going? Because you started a new job last month.
Going good.
I think it was.
Going good. Always good. It's fine. It's chill. We like it.
Tom, anything happened for you?
I mean, other than getting a new job, I've also been playing the game for this month. But I was also trying to play Persona 5 and finishing that. I still haven't. Okay, I wanted to finish Persona 5, but at one point I was like, no, I need to focus on this game more and more. And I started enjoying it more and stuff. So I was like, yeah, cool. I'll just finish this game, play Persona 5 in the background like for a couple of hours. But I still haven't finished that.
Yeah.
And I found out that there's more secret stuff if you do very specific things. So I'm excited to explore those. Other than that, I've booked some holiday. I'm going on holiday.
Ooh.
In August. Celebrate my birthday and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Have stuff planned. Oh, I want to share with you boys something that's been breaking my heart every day. A new game has come out, and I have been able to play it because I haven't been able to buy it.
Right.
It's Hades 2.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to touch it.
Yeah.
And I've heard from someone who has played the game that the game is so good. The weapons apparently are so much better.
Yeah.
The mechanics are better. Everything's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna play it, and I'm upset.
It's okay.
Is it fully out, or is it
It's
still in
not
like
fully
that
out.
beta?
It's in early access.
Yeah.
But it's like apparently it's like great and amazing and
Yeah.
fucking sick.
But you'd rather wait for it to all be finished, and then you can enjoy it in
I
its
wanna
fullest.
know,
That's
man.
what's funny. That's
But
what's
the
funny
thing
because we
is-
had this conversation in the past, before the full release, before the beta came out and it was closed beta. I asked Tom if he was gonna buy it when it came out in early access. And he went, "No, I'm gonna wait for the final game."
No, I was lying. That's great.
And then
Here's
he's
the
here. He's
thing.
like, "I want it now."
You start playing early access, and then you'll hit a stump, and you can't go anymore. You can't fill out the game, so then you'll stop.
I think the
I
loop
just
is
want
done.
it, man. I just want it, man.
I think the main like sort of core gameplay loop is done.
Yeah.
I just don't think
Probably.
they've tweaked like mechanics and things yet, so that it's like fully like the story is probably not finished.
Yeah.
Like you'll probably be able to do the runs and stuff and challenge yourself, but you probably won't be able to progress much of the story.
Yeah. They probably haven't done like all the voice lines because like Hades has like at least the first one has like shit ton of variables and like from like again, as I said in the first episode,
Yeah.
I didn't hear a single repeated line.
Yeah.
So it's like after playing whatever amount of time I did, that's insane.
Yeah. I'm hyped
so-
to play it. I'm
Yeah.
hyped. I'm not sure if I'll play it in early access. I'm not sure. I have so much shit that I'm doing that I feel like I
Yeah.
just don't have the time. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess this leads me on to what I've been doing this month.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Hey, Tyler.
No,
hey,
fuck
hey,
you. Fuck you.
Hey, Tyler. What was your month like?
Wow, I'm glad you asked, Tom. This month, and I guess the previous month, was literally dedicated. It was like the month of like completion. Like I spent and dedicated these past 2 months to finishing all of the shit that I needed to get done. That goes for shows, games, and like projects. Like I've been working on some projects for like my college, and I've wrapped them up now. They're finished. Not only that, I've been finishing and watching Death Note, Death Parade. I finished Dragon Ball Z the manga, and so now I am on Dragon Ball Super, which I'm going to attempt to watch because I'm curious to see what that experience is like. And obviously I beat Persona, and then the most recent one, which is what I wanted to talk about, was I just beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Boys, I almost didn't make it today.
Oh,
this final boss was something else. And I guess like I'll say non-spoiler like opinions and stuff.
mm-hmm.
I think the game is really good, but it just lacks in certain areas that really gets annoying. Like
Right.
the bosses, and especially the final boss, can be so unbelievably bullshit. Like
Right.
I kind of looked on it after I beat the game because I was curious, and because I was looking up like how do you get past this desperation move, or how do you beat this, or how do you like what's this weakness? Because I was so confused. Like they don't really give you much to go with, and you kind of just have to figure it out. And so I sort of was looking at it on Reddit, and people agreed with my opinions, which I thought was strange. Because, well, I mean, sometimes a lot of people agree, but then other times I feel like a lot of my takes can be different. But like the big consensus was the fact that the boss fights they were just very annoying because they didn't understand how to properly balance difficulty. And like, for example, Souls games have a good understanding on like how bosses work, and like the boss like rhythm of like a fight is very, very different to how like this game set up its fights and how it set up the final boss in particular. It is just very like, if you don't have this and this set up by this time, the run's over.
Right.
And you have to specifically have this available when this happens, otherwise you're dead. And there's a lot of moves that just put you on 1 HP, or they just kill you. And so it's like, when you're fighting a boss like that, it is just annoying, because if you just have a boss that just immediately puts you on 1 HP after like one thing, and it's just like, well, what the fuck was the point? Like, it was difficult, and it took me hours. And like the fight originally was so long because there's so many phases that you get to the point where it's like you can't go back and you can't level up and you can't do more because the boss was so long. You literally just have to keep retrying it, because otherwise you'd have to start the entire boss fight again, and it is long. But yeah, no, phenomenal game. Apart from that, I really enjoyed it. Bummed that you don't get to play Vincent, but I'm so there.
Aww.
I am so there for the next game. I'm so there because I believe the next game might be the final one.
Yeah, I think so.
A trilogy, yeah.
I looked into it, and this game covers approximately the first disc of the game.
Right.
So like remake and rebirth combined makes up the first disc.
Oh my god.
Because the first game remake was heavily expanded upon, because in the original game it's only like 6 hours long. But obviously they made it quite long, I guess, because like Midgar is such an iconic place. They wanted to like expand that. So like the remake, now I get, when it officially came out, a lot of people were kind of disappointed a little bit, and I was like, why are you disappointed? This looks so good. And now I'm looking at the context of the original games. I'm like, oh, I understand, because you're not getting to the bits that everyone loves, like the iconic moments of the game, because the game doesn't cover them. And then, but I think like Rebirth covers some major ones, and I think obviously the next one will cover the other major points as well. So like, I'm looking forward to it. I think we're in for a real trilogy so far. It's been really good.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing with this remake thing. I get people like, well, disappointed that the whole game wasn't done, but then again, like if the game wouldn't have come out. They would still be working on it, the whole thing, and it would just be so long and huge to download. And I think it's cool because like I don't know if the original creators were on remaking this and stuff, but they get to like touch on things that they couldn't do the first time, and world build more, and obviously it's a whole different look, and I think it's pretty cool because I guess we are in a new age of games, remaking games, remastering games to like make them better or whatever, and in a more better vision than they couldn't before. So yeah, I think I don't see why people. I understand they're bummed out, like people bummed out. It's not the full game, but like
but to be fair, I could not imagine having played the first game. I could not imagine the first game with the pace that it had to be longer than it was. Because like following with this thing you said about the second game, Rebirth, the final boss being so long, I remember the final bit of Remake. It was so long, and if you died, you went so far back.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It
Oh my
was
God.
crazy. I
was-
streamed my experience. I was like,
It was
no way,
painful.
it's me all the way back here.
Yeah, it is painful.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm yet to complete or play the Final Fantasy game, whatever, or any of them. So
Yeah.
I will jump on that wagon eventually. But
However, you can sympathize, Harley, because you've played like Kingdom Hearts games and like
oh yeah, yeah,
Square,
yeah.
Square Enix games are kind of like that, like where the final bit is very drawn out.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this is the final boss, maybe? Nope. There's 5 or 6 more versions of this,
Yeah.
or there's 3 more areas that you actually have to go through.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And like pacing can be
what?
confusing as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more confusing with the fact that like these games are split up from one main game, so now you don't even know the pacing of like the game now, because obviously it has to be dissected into 3 clear points where it needs to end.
Mm-hmm.
And so there probably is a lot that is different in the new one. But like Harley said earlier, like it is really cool that the game is getting remade, and like it is introducing people to be able to actually experience and play the story that didn't play the original. Like me, I wouldn't be a Final Fantasy VII fan if I didn't play the remake, because I didn't really know about it or was able to play it. And so now that I got the option to, and like in the way that I've been able to play it, I'm so grateful. Because I think the characters are so iconic, and the story is so iconic, and there's like literally some of the most iconic scenes in gaming history in this game. Like,
oh yeah, you were telling me the other day. You now understand what the Gungaga meme.
yeah, I finally understood what Mi Gongaga means.
Me Gungaga.
Because for the longest time, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, how in any context does someone go, Mi Gungaga, and just know? And now I finally understand why that makes sense.
Yeah, but I will say, talking about Square Enix, there was some big Square Enix news as of recent. There's been some Kingdom Hearts stuff, but Square Enix in general.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys been keeping up with their games and their releases of recent, but they've been flopping a bit.
Yeah.
right.
Like with what was that game with that very awkward dialogue? It was with that woman protagonist.
Forspoken?
I forget. Forspoken.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a big misstep from them.
And Foam Stars.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I think
they made that.
I think
Yeah.
they stopped the development of like a shit ton of games from what I understand, and they're only focusing on their big franchises.
Yeah.
Which,
I think that should kind of,
you know, I'm not too mad about.
Yeah.
Unless like because like they have a few franchises now. They have Final Fantasy, which is a franchise, but it's not connected. So it's like every time it's a different game.
Yeah.
So it can still provide that different, new perspective, but it's still on the IP of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
They have Kingdom Hearts, obviously. That's a story that's still not finished, and from what I understand, it's not even close to finishing. From what I've gathered, they have Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
They have Octopath Traveler, which apparently it's also a very good franchise. My girlfriend is a big fan of it and has been trying to get me into it.
Yeah.
What else do they have? They have Nier Automata, or Nier, I guess the Nier
I forget they
franchise.
own Nier.
Yeah, and I think they also own Lara Croft or Tomb Raider. I think. I don't know if they still do.
I'm not
They might
I
not.
don't think
But
so.
they did.
And they made a few Marvel games.
Yeah. But I think I personally, as a massive fan of like Kingdom Hearts and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to know that like they're just focusing more of their resources onto their big franchises.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Because instead of focusing on, which I mean, I can still admire like a gaming company trying to expand and trying to be creative in their games and not stick to only franchises.
Yeah. Trying
I
something
guess.
new, like branching out and stuff.
Yeah, branching out, but like I think they're so good with the stuff that they're good at, and I think they should stick to that.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's the thing. The bigger thing that it's to take from it is that they're working on like quality over quantity. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to be getting a release every year, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's something that they have been doing. They've been releasing like multiple games a year, and they just need to like stop. Like,
Yeah.
Because it is the thing of we're getting like half-baked games, and we're getting like, it's too much now where the hype kind of dies between each one because you're just getting so much. It's just kind of it's too much to handle. And I think that it will be going forward. I mean, obviously their next one is Kingdom Hearts 4. I think is like the next big release on like the schedule. I think that will be. I'm hoping it will be big.
Yeah, and talking about releasing, they're also, because of Rebirth's like underwhelming performance, I guess.
Yeah.
Like selling performance. They're now starting to just branch out to different platforms.
Yeah, like
PC,
multi-platform
Xbox.
releases and stuff. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, I bought my PlayStation 5. Originally to play Spider-Man, right? But like it was with the mentality of, oh yeah, I'll eventually get Kingdom Hearts on it. But like in the future, if like on the PlayStation 6, I guess, whatever game we're at that point.
Yeah.
If my big motivation is Kingdom Hearts, I might just wait and get it on the PC, you know? Like, even if the console might run it slightly better, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what that future looks like.
Yeah,
but
it all depends on your specs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm still probably going to play on the PlayStation 5 because since I have it, I am going to use it.
Yeah, especially for Kingdom Hearts
make
4.
worth the money. Yeah,
because like I feel like our PCs might explode based on just
I
intense
have
they're
a
going with
inky dinky freaking laptop now.
Yeah.
It was quite good when I had it, but it's dying as we speak.
Yeah.
But in the future, hopefully, I'll have a better setup and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
that's the hope.
But yeah, no, that is quite exciting that those games are about to, or Square Enix games are going to be multi-platform, which is quite cool.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
shall we get to the meat of the sandwich, guys?
Sure,
we get
we'll
there?
get to the meat of the sandwich.
The meat of the sandwich.
Yeah, Holly, let's get to the mate.
Yeah,
to the
I think we're all here for what
Let's get to the mate.
what we're playing. This whole
Yummy,
month.
yummy, mate.
Yes, nummy nummy. Right. Obviously, we've been playing From Software's Elden Ring.
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
Here we are.
This is like
Bosh.
so like slams down just a fucking Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a da, da. Oh,
It's such
man.
a good song.
It is. I fuck with that song so much. I think
good.
that's like one of the only songs that I love from that game, because the rest of the soundtrack,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
The rest of the soundtrack is You're Dead.
You dead screen.
Maybe for you. Anyway. Well,
Dude, we fucking
So-
got him, dude.
so this is the first From Software game we've played on the
Yes.
channel. How would you describe? I guess Tyler's probably the right person to ask this. Is how would you describe their games? These Souls-like games.
Yeah, I guess a bit of background. Yo, what is up? Is me, Tyler, the person that plays a shit ton out of the Souls games. What's up? I've played Sekiro, Dark Souls 3 specifically. Gonna play the others at some point. Elden Ring, Bloodborne, you know the works. But I'm a big fan of the Souls games. I got into them a few years ago. I mean, the first one I played was Sekiro, and that was a really fucking long time ago. But the games in general is, I guess, pain simulator. You know, you're basically on a, like, depending on the setting, doesn't really matter. But like, you know, it's made up of bosses. That's sort of like the game's main like bread and butter. Like, is boss fights and, you know, these unique like encounters with these enemies and creating these like sort of in-depth worlds for people to explore, with offering lots of challenge, and is sort of its main draw to, I guess, a lot of people is the difficulty. From Software prides themselves on making their games fucking difficult, and it is like the true gamer's gauntlet. Like if you wanna get the real respect, it's a common thing to be like, you want my respect? Play this, that, and the other, and it's just like play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. But no, it is an interesting set of games, and I fuck with them. I love them a lot. Some more than others. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I don't know if Harley, you want to explain a little bit about the plot of this one we've picked specifically.
Yeah, so Elden Ring is the most recent one, and quite fortunately, the DLC for this game is also coming out at the end of next month, I think.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to suggest a From Software game, and I thought it would be a good time now to play one.
Yeah. To gear up for the DLC.
Exactly, and what better to choose Elden Ring? But yeah, okay. I'll get into this more once we go down in the nitty gritty of it all.
Yeah.
But the plot is that the Elden Ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shattering.
Yeah.
People have it, right? These bosses, all these people have it, right?
Pieces of it, yeah.
Yeah, your role
God, I'm putting on
as
my
a
nerd glasses.
tarnished, right?
Yeah.
That's you guys as you play the game. To get the shards and eventually become Elden Lord.
Yeah.
That's the most simplest way I can explain the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
But there's a lot more, obviously, to it. That's
Yeah.
like the simplest form.
Yeah, no. This game has a fuck ton of lore. It is crazy, but yeah, you're right. You're right. Like it is. Yeah. They made the game. This game was in collaboration with George R.R. Martin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote Game of Thrones. If you're uncultured,
just the Game of Thrones guy.
Game of Thrones, great.
Well,
damn, we're shooting fire where it shouldn't be shot right now.
Yeah. Well,
but
Game of Thrones is quite good, I'll have you know. But
guys, we're here for Elden Ring, guys.
We're here for Elden Ring.
But yeah, no, the game sort of offers an expansive open world, which is a big difference from the other games.
Yeah, actually, that's a good
and
point.
just offers hundreds of hours of fucking gameplay. That is just
and replayability as well.
Yeah,
it's
with all the sort of different builds, you can kind of approach this game however you want. You can be a fucking wizard king, as I chose. You can be a big strength build, act like fucking Guts from Berserk, going around with your Dragon Slayer, just
which I chose.
Or you could be a fucking weeb and then pull out your two katanas and just do bleed damage, just be like, yeah, and just go crazy.
Which Tom didn't do it firsthand. He just chose a random thing and didn't realize what he was doing.
Yeah, no, he made a big oopsie, but it's okay. He fixed it.
I don't know.
It's fine. Well, to be fair, this is your kind of first proper run at a From Software game, right, Tom?
Yeah. To speak a bit of my experience.
Yeah, go for it.
My From Software experience, I've played 1 hour of Bloodborne. I played around 5 hours of Dark Souls 1 whilst streaming, and I wanted to kill myself. And this is the third game, but it is my actual only proper go at proper experience with a From Software game. So yeah, I didn't know much about what I was getting into. I knew of the mechanic of getting souls or runes or points, currency, in order to level up.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that, and I know that the core of the gameplay, as the character, is that the movement is a bit awkward, and it's one of the things that makes it so difficult is how awkward the movement is. And I say awkward and for example, in comparison to a game, I mean, for myself, like Kingdom Hearts, especially 3 and stuff like that, because some movement in Kingdom Hearts is also quite awkward in some earlier games. But yeah, that's my experience with From Software. So I didn't know how much each class mattered. I didn't know why whatever thing mattered so much. So as I was streaming, actually, I just kind of picked one that I thought looked cool.
Yeah.
And I guess I picked the hardest one. Or a very hard one to start with. You
basically picked one, that didn't really give you much of a head start in the sake of things. I can't remember the specific one you picked.
I think it was a bandit.
I believe it was bandit.
Where it's like, because the thing is, objectively, is like there is no such thing as like, apart from obviously, I forgot. Is it like the Wretched or something? I can't remember what the worst one is, where it gives you absolutely nothing.
I think it is Wretched or something. Yeah.
Something like that. Apart from that one, I feel like it's an even start to play as any of the classes. But what it is that it's basically just what ones would give you more of a head start in what build you're trying to make. So, for example, people that like dexterity builds would like to choose going with Samurai, because Samurai offers you a bleed weapon at the start. It offers you higher dexterity over the other stats, and then there's other ones. I can't remember what the strength one is.
It's Vagabond or something else.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
But you can get an option where basically it would give you a higher boost in the starting stat that you want to scale with the most.
But then again, in the beginning, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what is a bleed. I didn't even know bleed was a thing.
Yeah.
What is a dexterity? That's a long word. I only know dexterity from playing D&D. Yeah. So I was a bit lost with that. But yeah, I figured it out eventually with a lot of guidance.
Yep.
Yeah, should we just go through
people on stream?
Each person's run or experience if anyone wants to go first?
Yeah. I guess mention your hours when you start.
Of course.
Who wants to go first?
I mean, we were talking about me, so I don't mind going first.
Go for it.
So I literally finished. I didn't finish the game. I stopped my run before the podcast, maybe half an hour ago. And I checked, and I got 37.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And I just defeated the red giant.
The fire giant.
In a very particular way.
Yeah.
We don't need
to go into specifics.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely
on
go
how
into specifics later.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
But I defeated the red giant, and I did the cutscene with Melina, right? Melina, sure.
God, I really am gonna feel like a fucking gut nerd emoji.
Yeah,
fucking episode.
And this episode, let's give you glasses. So I started as a bandit guy. The one thing I knew also was that it was good for me to, because you can pick an item in the beginning. It was good for me to pick a golden seed that I remembered. Someone told me, and I was like, all right. And I found out that it's for you to get more potions and stuff eventually. So with my run, I really struggled, especially in the beginning, because even though Elden Ring, in comparison to the other games I've played, is a lot better at the beginning portion of just kind of it's the start, and you kind of just naturally figure out what you're doing.
Yeah. There
is a lot that it doesn't explain, and I feel I was very lost because I was like, oh, you can upgrade weapons? I don't know. I knew how to level up, but what do I need to level up? I didn't know, because I didn't know what build I was even doing. I didn't know what the concept of building that way was. Just because, again, not used to these types of games. But people in when I was streaming the game, and you guys were very helpful in guiding me through the game, which I was very, very happy with. And eventually I gave in, and I went on wikis and looked up videos on what weapons to get and how to defeat whatever's, or good places to level up, and stuff like that. And eventually I found my groove, and it became a lot easier to go through the game. But I do definitely think that, I mean, I don't know how, obviously I've played Dark Souls 1, but I don't know how much people kind of just know of how From Software games work from playing other games, and them just being, oh yeah, I just know you kind of just have to do this.
From other Souls games?
From Souls games, being like, oh yeah, I just know how this works. And then they kind of just transfer that knowledge onto Elden Ring. But for someone who didn't really play much, and from those experiences, I didn't learn too much, to be honest. It felt like when there's maybe an adaptation of a movie from a book, but the movie expects you to have read the book before watching the movie, so it doesn't really explain some world stuff or whatever. I hope this makes sense. And the reason why I think that's similar, it feels like they maybe just assumed, oh yeah, you probably played some of the other games before, right? Yeah, you know what you did. And yeah, I just again felt a bit lost there.
Well,
now I'm very much in a comfortable position.
Well,
yeah, I think it's time to attack.
Unload.
Yes.
Okay, guys, hold on. We're gonna start a part in this podcast where I'm gonna get berated. I'd like to get some shields around.
Yeah, you're gonna absolutely
protection.
need them, because
I would like to level up my vigor, guys.
Okay.
So, do you want to go first, Tyler, or shall
I guess I'll go first, considering I have the emoji glasses and everything.
Of course.
Okay, so I think it's definitely fair to initially be like from my stance in particular, this is my opinion. Whatever first Souls game you play, you're fucking hopeless at it. Especially when you start. It would happen to me when I played Sekiro, because Sekiro is the first game I played. Absolutely fucking hopeless. And it's just the thing of your first experience is going to be the most difficult in any of the Souls games. Just because of the challenges you face in all of them, and you have to learn so much new things from experiencing them. You don't know how the bosses work and how dodging works, and you have to learn a lot. And I think the big problem that I think could have helped you a lot is you didn't have a tendency to read a bit too much of what the game was providing you. There was a lot of scenarios in which, obviously, Tom mentioned that he was streaming the game on Twitch, and also when you would stream to us on Discord sometimes when we would hang out and stuff. And I decided to pay particular attention as to how you would absorb the cutscenes and how you would absorb dialogue with NPCs or menus on screens. Yeah, you just kind of just skipped a lot of it. There was a lot of moments where you speak to NPCs. For example, you open the door in... I forgot what it's called. But at the start of the game, when you open the door and it kind of reveals to you, the beginning area. And you're like, whoa,
yeah.
This is crazy. And you open the door. There's this NPC that stands right outside the front door. And he speaks to you. And... this is what he says, pretty much. It's you're in the world and stuff, but you're pretty fucking weak. If you want to get strong, you're going to need 1, a maiden, and 2, runes to level up. And so, immediately that tells you off the bat, you need runes to level up, and you need to do that because you need to find a maiden to be able to level up. So the game gives you the first 2 things off the bat and being like, hey, you want to know what to do? This is how you do it. Secondly, there is a tutorial at the start of the game that shows you how to fight, the mechanics of fighting, and gives you a beginner's boss so that you can understand what you need to do. But Tom missed that. He walked right past it, so he didn't really get to experience the tutorial of the game. And it's fair.
Yeah.
You can miss the tutorial. But then when I played it on my second playthrough, because I missed the tutorial when I played it for the first time, but then when I played it again, I found that there was a menu when you literally open the game and walk for the first time. It pops up and goes, drop down this hole for the tutorial. So I don't know if, because people maybe missed it, they updated it so that you could see that. But yeah, that is an important factor, is the fact that there was a tutorial you missed.
Okay, but I cannot help but mention how you missed in your first go. I also missed in my first go.
Because the game's been updated,
because I
and
think
it
the game
literally
was
tells
updated
you.
to add that screen to be
But
like,
wait,
hey,
is it one of the? Is it like a message on the floor?
No, it's a big. So basically, when you
pop-up.
spawn in, right, and you wake up, and Torrent is beside you or whatever, and you literally get up in that first room, this thing appears on the screen that literally says "drop down the hole for the tutorial."
Oh, I don't remember.
And
Yeah,
we'll have to see. I don't know if you saved the VODs. Did you save the VODs?
There might be up.
Because I haven't seen. I wasn't there for his first stream, so I'm curious to see if you just spawned in and pressed A and didn't read anything that it said and just kept walking. But also the fact that if you don't see that, there's an NPC that stands next to the hole and then says "jump in" for the tutorial as well.
Right.
So yeah, those are two things that I will mention. First, in regards to the game providing information.
At least in early game.
At least in the early game, yeah. And then I think it's also a thing of we've had plenty of experiences. Where Tom mentioned previously about us trying to help him and figuring out where to go, where we discovered Tom isn't the best with directions.
No.
Hey, this is something I am very aware of. And this is not just in games or whatever. This is in real life. Don't ever ask me for directions ever, for anything. I'm helpless with that shit.
And so in a game that isn't linear,
don't even ask me to. Don't even ask me where like any country is that isn't like the UK or Portugal. I probably won't be able to tell you. That's how bad I am with shit like that.
And so, with that knowledge, you can kind of understand from Tom's perspective, in an open world game, and he doesn't know directions, things can get very difficult very quickly. Being like, how the fuck, where am I? And it's all over.
Yeah.
Like, there were a lot of scenarios in which we were trying to direct Tom and been like, okay, you see this giant door? You're going to have to go through there. And he'd be like, where? He'd spin around and do a 360. It's like, it was in front of you, my guy. What the fuck do you mean? There was a lot of funny experiences trying to show Tom where to go. And I think the big thing that I guess is important to mention is that I think in Elden Ring, the early game is the best in regards to directions, because when you open the door, you immediately see this giant castle in front of you, like off to the distance.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's clear in your mind, you're like, okay, I think I have to go up there. And so like that is like great game design into kind of being like, hey, go there, right? And I think that then you do everything else, you explore around. There's obviously, like, I would split the game into where it has landmarks and then it has like the rest of the game. And so like you open that door, you see the first landmark, it's like this castle, go here, and it's like, okay, I'll go there. And then once you do that, the second landmark I think is quite clear as well, where you beat that area, and when you open the door, you get like sort of the Breath of the Wild scene, I call it, because it's that scene where you basically see the open world for the first time, and you kind of walk out and the camera sort of pans out and you just see how big the world is. That is something that Breath of the Wild like coined. Like that moment was so huge. And I think in new open world games now, that's like the thing, that's the formula. In which you kind of see this massive world that's laid out before you. And I think when you first do that, the first thing that's immediately in front of you is the Raya Lucaria Academy. And so then it's very clear that you got to go there next. And so those are the two big ones that I think is the key. And then obviously the third one is go to the Erd tree, which is the ginormous fucking tree. But the rest of it is where it gets confusing, because there's other sections of the map that are off to the side, like to the left and right, and then there's one like top left corner, and then like bottom right. Like they aren't as clear as to be like, hey, go here. And so I think after you beat the first area and after you beat Ray Lucara Academy, it can get confusing as to where you're supposed to go. But it's also important to mention that this game isn't linear, and so what we chose for you to do, for example, Tom, when we're like, okay, you beat this guy, go beat this guy next, is our recommendation as to how strong you are at the moment. This is who you should probably face. But it's very important to mention the fact that you didn't have to do it in any of those orders or in any specific way.
Sure.
Literally, if you could have just like, if you were just riding around, you would find your way eventually. Like, it's the sort of thing of like, there was no specific set order, but there is like an order that people consider to be like the kind of best way to go about it, and that was the order we were showing you how to do, pretty much. But I don't think the game does a good job of being like, okay, you beat this person, you should go here next, like specifically in that portion of the game. But then I think late game is where it gets the most clear.
I think that they become a bit more specific, but my problem is like they'll say like, oh, go to this north place or this cave or this whatever, and my problem is like, again, with directions and remembering names and things, because like when I go into an area, I'm not like, oh, this is the name of the area. I don't like, that's not what I'm never really focusing on anything other than don't die, don't like, that's my constant loop thought when playing Elden Ring. But then when I'm eventually I get to the area, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what that NPC mentioned. So I think it was like after defeating Radahn or whatever, someone mentions, oh, go to this cave or something, this underground area, whatever. And I was like, oh, this is the area I talk about. That's the one. And yeah, that's all I remember, for example.
I don't know if Harley, you wanted to mention anything, or if I covered everything. I do apologise.
No, I think you covered most things. Like, it's just a matter of fact that, sadly, Tom, you did just skip everything and not really pay attention a lot of the time, which is quite funny for someone who really likes Persona 5.
Yeah, I do understand that. I understand that point of view, but like, I think I struggled because of the similar reason that I struggled with Borderlands 2.
Right.
Where like my focus was really not on the story at all.
Yeah.
Like I really, like, to be honest, couldn't really care at the moment, or at least with my first playthrough, because like I was just focused on the task at hand, I guess, which in my point of view was, oh, let's go defeat the next thing, or oh, let's upgrade my next thing, let's level up, let's whatever. So like I was never really focused on the story.
And I think that's fair, right? Because like focusing on the task at hand, I think the only thing that it would have helped in your case is like by paying attention to those things and by seeing those things, you would have understood where to go to accomplish those tasks at hand. If you get what I mean. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I did even speak to someone who was like, oh yeah, the story, you don't really consume the story that much when playing the game. It's like afterwards, like just to consume a bunch of YouTube videos, like telling the story, and then like after you know the story and replaying it again, it makes the game that much sweeter. Yeah. And I'm curious to experience that, I guess.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
And I wrote something here in my notes that is literally this.
Notes?
Like, although on a first playthrough, the plot can be confusing and like hard to grasp specifically, through my second playthrough of the game, I found myself understanding a lot more of like the world and like the characters, and that was just from paying more attention, because you are right, in the first playthrough you are focusing on different aspects. Like for me, my mind was just blown because I'd been playing the other games and this was so like different but the same at the same time. And like I played it on release, but I remember playing it and being so new and so fresh, everything I was experiencing for the first time, it was like so weird to me. And so I was literally just exploring. Like, I just would explore the whole game, but I was so focused on like everything that I couldn't zone in and understand everything, I think was the problem.
Yeah.
On my second playthrough, I was able to I was just speaking to NPCs. I found that there was a lot more direction than there was, like, than I originally thought, which is why I sort of decided to defend earlier, because I was like, oh, there is a screen that tells you to do a tutorial, and there's an NPC that tells you to do a tutorial, and there's an NPC that tells you how to level up. Like, this was shit that I just forgot or just, like, didn't do. And so there's just stuff like that where it's like, I can completely understand missing that stuff, but it comes to play when it's like, when talking about the game or talking about reviewing it, is important to mention that those things do exist.
Yeah.
And I found myself understanding a lot more, and not to mention, for like those interested, many YouTubers have taken it up upon themselves to like document and locate like all the hidden lore and like make countless videos about the world and certain characters.
Hey, bless up to those guys. Hey,
that it really helps those interested in understanding the true plot behind this game and like piecing everything together coherently. Because during the second playthrough, I decided, like, sort of when I was kind of towards the end, I was like, I kind of want to understand a bit more on this or that. And so I sort of watched literally like one video, and from that video, like, the world opened. Like, I was like, holy shit. And like, coming out of it, like, it's that thing of the things were there, but you just don't see them the first time around. Like, I understood so much more going through it, and I guess this will be the start of my second play, like my talk about my playthrough.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go.
I played about I found out in total, in just the game in general, I have 136 hours, and I think that for me, I chose like a sorcerer build because I've never played a sorcerer build properly in any of the other games. I tried really hard to make a sorcerer build in Dark Souls 3, but I remember getting to a specific point in which I changed builds because I just couldn't do it. Like, the playstyle was so different and I just couldn't grasp it. But then for this, I really wanted to try to see what the experience would be like trying a different build, because I only immediately went for the Dex build when I first played the game because I'm a weeb and I wanted to be a samurai. But, you know, this time around I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the fucking Wizard King, and I'm going to, like, find all these spells and like try and figure out how to break this game in the best way possible, like using all the tools to my disposal to see what I could do. And it is so interesting how much mechanics and how much buffs and how much weapons and stats all come into play when fighting a boss. Like, it is unbelievable what you can put together and like create. It's all about experimentation. And like, when you're a sorcerer, I found that there were so many cool like spells that I would like rely upon and like learn about, and it would just change like the game. Like, for example, the most famous one is what people use to kind of cheese bosses, and I found it towards the end of the game, and it's just such a funny spell. It's called Comet Azure, and it's literally a Kamehameha but like in spell form. And it is just the funniest thing to use. Like, I wouldn't condone, like, specifically to use it, because I think that for certain bosses it really does just, like, it literally just shreds through the health bar, so you don't even have to swing your sword or do anything. And I wouldn't recommend doing that, because I think that, like, it, especially for your first playthrough, just because you don't get to experience the true fight. But I found that on my second playthrough, I was like, you know what, I'm going to experiment. And so I did find certain bosses, and I tried to see what could happen. And for example, one I did, which I thought was really funny, was there's this boss known as Moog Lord of Blood. And I used it on that fight, and it was just the funniest experience. But yeah, Sorcerer build was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I thought going into it would be very difficult, but playing it and speaking to other people I know about it is that they treat playing as a sorcerer as if playing the game on easy mode. And I can see why. Because the game offers you a lot of damage, and plus that, you're at a range. So not only do you have excellent damage output, but you literally don't get hit. And then when you involve summons into the mix, they draw aggro from the boss. And so literally you just sit there on the corner of the side of the map going, yo, this is sick. And you're just flinging spells like the whole fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting.
The shocking thing I'd say is that you completed the game way quicker than any of us.
I beat the game about a week or two ago now.
That into the month, like you were like, I'm done.
I was like, it was funny. I was just sort of like, I remembered the general things of being like, okay, this boss is here and this boss is here. And I just literally went for it. I had the wiki up to guide me in specifics like of builds, because there's such like a cool community out there that like focus on the construction of like really powerful builds and like just advice in general, in being like, oh, if you want to go with this, use this armor set for this and it helps like combine with this spell. And there's cool stuff like that I was like, oh, that's really sick. And just like we're able to combine that to just make this ultimate beast of a wizard that would just walk around. But yeah, no, I managed to beat the game quite early on because I just wanted to chill out, and I found the experience to be quite easy. And not only that, I fought Melania as well because I wanted to see what Melania would be like, and I'm pleased to announce that I beat Melania as well. So I beat all of the major bosses, and I ran out of bosses to do, and I was like, well, I guess that's it for my playthrough. I've really enjoyed my second playthrough, and I would argue that I think I might have enjoyed it a little bit more than my first one. Just because I think the game was just a lot more easier to digest the second time round, and I think I wasn't as so like fucking like flabbergasted as being like, oh my god, there's trees, and the trees they fall over when the enemies attack them. It's just like stupid shit like that. Like the game was just so like, I don't know, it was so new and fresh when I got it that like I felt like a newborn baby. But like by the time that we're playing it, the game has like been and gone and has come back again, like in a sense. And like there's so much now that people know and understand and have built. It's just crazy. Like when I first played the game, the wiki was being built as I was playing the game, and so like there were moments where I'm like, where do I find this item? And I'm like, oh shit, there's nothing on the wiki. And then I would go away and I'd come back like maybe an hour later and it would update and be like, there's a somber smithing stone here, and I'm like, holy shit. Like there's just like fun stuff like that was interesting. But like this time around, like the whole library of knowledge was available to me, so I was just able to just kind of like research and find and just make the most powerful thing, and it was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot.
I think it's funny that you mentioned that the game is come and gone, and like come back rather, because like I feel this is the second time in our like during our podcast that like we decide to play a game and that game somehow becomes like it gets a little bit of a boost in popularity. Somehow, like with Five Nights at Freddy's, like a lot of people started playing the game or something, or like they were streaming it or putting YouTube videos of playing the whole all of the games. And now with Elden Ring, like a lot of streamers that like have been streaming themselves playing Elden Ring, like, and I mean like big streamers like have been. I mean, I'm assuming it's also because of the DLC that's about to come out.
Yeah.
Like that's also a reason why we decided to do the podcast. But yeah, I think it is quite interesting how it has come back, and that is interesting. Also the thing, because you played it as it came out. There was no wiki. There was no wiki. There was no like people were still figuring it out. So I guess I feel quite blessed having all of that information for my first playthrough. Like being able to look at a bunch of YouTube videos of people being like,
because I just remember walking around and being like, how the fuck am I supposed to find this thing? And like I had no idea. Like there are things that's like,
I think that's part of how this game or these games are designed to be played, I guess, in the thing of there's a whole community of people finding things and helping people figure out or these certain builds work in that way.
I mean, we never used it,
like that.
The big emphasis on that is the multiplayer aspect of the game. You can summon people to help fight the bosses with you.
Shall I go on to my playthrough, gang?
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh boy, It's been a while, gang, but I fucking enjoyed this game.
Aww.
I started to feel like I'm the Simon Cowell of this podcast for a while now, of not enjoying a lot of these games that we've chosen. But hey, it's how it works. But I love this game. It's my second playthrough, and I haven't touched it since my first one, like 2 years ago or something. So,
what's your experience with Souls games?
Souls games?
I don't think we've touched upon that.
My first kind of want or interest into the games was Bloodborne. If you don't know me, I love dark fantasy. I love it. It's my thing. I love those type of worlds and stuff. And From Software games are all that. Yeah. So I've always wanted to be experiencing those games. But there was the caveat of them being difficult. And I'm not the best gamer around. Like, I'm not like, you know, the god of everything. But I've improved over time. But I started with Bloodborne, and then I stopped because I got too difficult. And then Elden Ring came along, and that was new, and the hype was going on about. So I attempted that game, and I played it all the way through, stops and starts during uni. And then there was one time where I just sat down. I was like, right, I'll complete this game. And well, admittedly, unfortunately, I didn't beat the final boss. Technically, Tyler did it for me.
Guys, we're pulling the veil.
Yes.
It was a traumatic experience. He was getting very upset.
It is, because I spent so long trying to defeat this boss, and I couldn't do it, and I was literally on the verge of just giving up and not touching the game ever again. And then Tyler came in, like a fucking warrior that he is, the gaming god, and just like sneezed and the boss died.
Then he did it for me. It's interesting, like, going into it, because, again, like, I would be in exactly the same boat if I didn't play the other games. Like, I would be shit. And it's just a thing of, the more you play, and the more of, like, the portfolio you build, the more experience you get. And I think the biggest factor with Elden Ring is that I will always bat for Elden Ring being the best first Souls game you should play.
Yeah, I agree too.
If you want to get into the genre, play Elden Ring first. And I can't stress it enough, because out of all of them, this one gives you the most options as to how you can play the game. And it kind of gives you a really good rundown as to just kind of getting into it. But I said that you had to beat it yourself one day.
Yeah, one day. And but after that, I went back to Bloodborne, completed Bloodborne. Bloodborne is on the list of one of my favourite games of all time. I love it so much. I completed every single boss in that game. I know it inside and out. It's one of those rare games that I kind of know and have played more than once, which is very rare for me.
Yeah.
But now, suggesting this game for this month was one of the reasons is the DLC, the hype. I wanted to choose a From Software game, and I thought Elden Ring would be the better one, and the fact of getting some redemption of beating the final boss, which I haven't reached yet. Well, I have reached by, an hour before this recording, but we had to do this recording. Therefore, I've stopped. But after we finish this episode, I'm going back, and I'm not going to stop until I take this motherfucker down. And I will do it. But I will say, the second playthrough of this game has been amazing. I've spoken before about how I play games of just like be running the story and not exploring enough. And I've done some character development. Yeah. This run, I sat down and I was like, I'm just going to explore, go with the flow of whatever happens. I'll find a boss, I'll kill that boss, whatever, and I'll just go and find NPCs and do things for them. And the game was just beautiful. I had such a much better time playing it. There was no stress. It was just, oh, what's this? And I found just like loads of different items that, you know, I didn't think or would have to look up the first time because I just ignore them and not explore enough. And it just really took in to appreciate the game development side of it, of the whole world and the atmosphere and the assets, the buildings. It's just It's beautiful, and you really give credit to the people who put so much work into this game, because there's so much to look at and explore and look into. It's just great. But yeah, and when I went the strength build, it has turned into my favourite build because the strength builds are more of the big damage boys.
Swing big sword, big number.
But they are big.
Ooga
Exactly
booga.
right. And the weapon I chose was the great sword, whatever it's called, which is one of Guts' sword in Berserk. And I was like, I'm going to get that weapon and complete the game with it. So that's what I've done. Well, almost. But yeah, and just going through, vibing, learning more about the story, the NPCs, the areas, finding new little secret bosses that I didn't know existed. Yeah. And yeah, it's been a whale of a time. It's been fantastic.
I'm glad you had a good time. You know, you've had a rough run of it these past 3 episodes, so this has been your nice break. Persona was your breaking point, I think.
It was. I think it was.
All that reading, it was too much for you.
Yeah.
Oops.
No movement, no freedom.
You move me.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed the strength build so much. I've never thought I would enjoy it, because I normally play button mash, run around, dodge, no think. But with this game, it's taught me to be patient, to time my things. Even though I'm not very good at it still, but still I try and I'm better at it. And it's just I've seen my improvement from my first playthrough and other playthroughs I've done of similar type games like this, right? So yeah, and I've got through so many bosses that I struggled on in my first playthrough, so much more easier because of this build. It is beautiful. It is fantastic. And,
what was the first build, if I may ask?
My first was a dexterity build.
So that's why I'm struggling.
I think maybe.
It ultimately depends. I'd still recommend a bleed to start off with.
Yeah, I do too. I think it does make it a lot easier. And then once you go for your next trying something different, like the magic or the strength or whatever.
Because I do remember first time around when you played the game for the first time, you started with strength.
Yeah, because I didn't really understand what was what. So you think strength, damage.
Yeah.
And you got to like about Raya Lucaria, and then that's when you swapped to Dex, and then you from there were able to complete the rest of the game. So it's just a big thing to show the difference for your first time playthrough, and then in your second playthrough you can come back like I did with Sorcerer and experiment with something else. And
I just easily took down more bosses that I struggled a lot the first time round, which was so much surprising. And I did what do you call it? A boss rush today. Like I've progressed so far.
We need to talk about that tremendous run he did in this
game. Go King.
I was constantly reminding him, I'm like, the recording date's coming up. Are you going to be able to beat the game? And he was like, I don't think so. And I'm like, would you be able to at least reach the final boss? And to be honest, I did not have the expectation that he would be able to in the time that he had. But I kept pushing him. Every 5 minutes, I'd walk into the room and be like, have you fought this boss yet? Have you fought this boss yet? Because he'd keep telling me, he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go fight him. And then he wouldn't fight him. And then today came around and I sort of walked into his room and like, oh, it's recording day, by the way. Like, are you going to be able to beat it? Like, where are you? And then literally he just went on the greatest sprint in gaming history where he just first tried a shit ton of bosses. Like, it was no
that are known to be quite difficult, and I surprised myself.
Like Beast Clergyman in my second playthrough took me fucking forever, and this guy walked in and killed him I did it on
my first try.
Like, it literally took him no time to beat any of these bosses. Godfrey, it took you first try. It was unbelievable, and he went on the full stretch, and I've never hyped someone up more. And then he got to, and I'm so proud that he was able to get to where he was in like the time that he had. It was unbelievable.
And I attempted the last boss of the game, but ran out of time. But yeah, we got there. We reached it. We saw it, and that's. But we'll defeat it. We'll defeat it today or tomorrow. I'm going to complete it because there's other bosses that I haven't touched. Like, what's the other bosses? Melika or whatever.
Your homework.
Yeah.
For next month. beat Elden Ring.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy peasy.
You'll probably do it tonight.
Yeah, or tomorrow.
We'll see.
We'll see. Because I want to complete enough to do the DLC, because I'm 100% playing that after when it comes out.
Is that sort of your wrap up of your playthrough?
Yeah.
If there's anything else you want to mention?
I just want to talk about just like one more thing of like your like throughout this gameplay from what you've done. What is your favorite boss? Just I think
That's a good
just
question.
to
I have one right off the bat. It's not. There's not anything in particular like, oh, it was very challenging, therefore I liked it, or anything. I just think the mimic one is just very funny.
Yeah.
And I only realized it afterwards that people's strategies is to, before the fight, and equip everything and then do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the fight was
yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
so I just kind of fought myself, and I first tried it.
Yeah.
And it just made me realize, I really am weak, hey? Really fucking... Oh, fuck.
It's the game's reality
because
check.
then it asked, like... Yeah, because then, like... Because, like, obviously the character also had, like, potions and dodged and all of those things. And then it becomes a question of, like, if you punch yourself and it hurts, are you weak or strong? And... like, I was like, am I... was I just good or am I just bad?
Yeah,
like,
that's funny. That's funny.
So yeah, that was my favorite boss.
Harley, what's your favorite boss?
At the moment, I'm juggling between the two, and I will mention my least favorite boss in a second. Reasons why the other thing I'm juggling with is my favorite, but I think my favorite boss is Rykard, because it's a gimmick fight, and I quite like
love
gimmick fights.
Look, at the end of the day, gimmick fights, people have problems with them, I think, because they are like kind of easy, depending on obviously the thing. But gimmick fights are just cool.
Yeah, it's just like an easier way of fighting this, stuff like that. I love stuff like that in video games. And I don't know, if you put a picture up or whatever here, Tom, of them as well, and the voice actor and the line that they say, it's just good fight, good area. I like them. Honorable mention would be Radahn. I think the setup of that whole fight of the festival and summoning NPCs that you've met out throughout the game, having this big battle, it's just so cool.
It is sick.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't fought all of them, but that one I think is the coolest.
Yeah. And my one criticism is only that it spawns you 1,000,000 miles away, and it takes you so long to get up to there, but he's popping shots at you, and you might as well get there and he kills you instantly like that. And that is my one criticism. And that leads me on to my least favourite boss, which is the Fire Giant.
Yeah, that was... that one's
the
pretty
one
cringe.
That you cheesed, Tom?
Cheesed.
Yeah, the boss is cringe, therefore I defeated it in a cringe way. Whoops. So I watched this YouTube video, and like if you get a specific summon, it's this lady who shoots like a bow and arrow. I forgot her name, but like if you spawn her at a specific place and you can get the boss stuck in an area, and she just shoots at him, and he's just stuck there, and you just wait it out. That's literally all it is. And then in the second phase, you just have to get him stuck again in the same area. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am ashamed. Not only because I cheesed it, but because it took me like 3 or 4 tries, because the boss would unstuck itself, or the summon would stop shooting at the boss because like a tree was blocking the path or whatever. I'll just be like, well, fucking, what am I meant to do now? Because like I tried it a few times, I was like, nah.
Go on, Tyler.
Yeah, I guess yours. Right, how do I go? I don't know if this is cringe, but my favorite boss is Malenia, because the Malenia fight to me reads as a Dark Souls fight, and to me it's so much more enjoyable, because I guess it will come up during my rating, but in my opinion, this is probably maybe out of the ones I've played, I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed other Souls games, because the challenge was there in some fights, but I didn't like the pacing of the boss fights. they introduced this mechanic in this one that I've heard a lot of people talk about. I forgot what is the official name, but I'm just going to call it a wind-up attack. But they introduce wind-up attacks, right? In which a boss, like, raises their weapon into the sky, and they're going to attack. And they're going to attack. And they're going to attack. And then they just randomly attack. And it's kind of like, it's a thing that is really weird to time. And to me, takes out what I enjoy is the rhythm. And it's why Sekiro is my favorite Souls game, is because that game is just rhythm. Like, it is really cool because it's a dance. The Sekiro combat with the bosses are so beautiful, and they're so fun to play as, because you're literally like dancing with blades, like literally perfect parrying. It's almost like a rhythm game. You literally, and like the way the boss fights work, like you get into this really cool like rhythm, and I love that. And I loved using that in Dark Souls 3 because it was the boss fights would just have these really cool attacks that, when timed correctly, you just sort of weave in and out, and it's like this. It is just this cool dance, and I love that. But with Elden Ring, it's very different. It's like a big wind up, and then eventually you roll away, and then you roll back and fight or whatever. And I just wasn't really as big of a fan of that. And Melania brings back that nostalgia from those fights in like Sekiro and Dark Souls 3. And I saw recently someone literally modded Melania into Sekiro, and literally it is a perfect fight for Sekiro. Like, it is unbelievable, but it is so cool. I love that fight because of its mechanics. I think the boss arena is beautiful. Melania is one of my favorite characters because she looks so fucking cool, and it has like just one of the coolest movesets ever, and just has this sick prosthetic arm. But there was a cinematic for Elden Ring, but I can't remember when it was shot. I think it was just the announcement trailer for the game, but it basically showcased the fight between Melania and Radahn, and it basically explains why Radahn is the way he is. That fight cinematic is so badass, of the fight between the two, and she has this really sick attack where basically her scarlet rot blooms, and it's like this massive flower, and it reminds me of Naruto and the Nine-Tailed Fox, and it's so cool. It's such an awesome fight. I love it so much, and it's fucking difficult, and it makes me cry. But yeah, I love Melania. And then my least favorite is the Elden Beast, which is the final boss of the game.
Oh, you know what? That is true. That is one of the most disappointing final bosses in the game.
Out of final bosses in the game, it's my least favorite. It is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, 100%. It's just because, like, I'd rather have the first phase of that fight be just that, and then have that same person just transform or whatever. But having the Elden Beast, no, it was not for me. It is a big disappointment.
Because like I understand story-wise, technically, as to why the Elden Beast is a thing, but the fight with Radagon is so cool, and the way they build up that fight is beautiful.
And the song like, as well.
I guess sorry for spoiling something that happens ahead in Elden Ring. If those don't want to hear it, close your ears. But pretty much, there's the segment when you enter the final boss arena where the individual picks up their weapon, and as they pick up their weapon, the main theme of the game plays, and it's the most badass full circle moment where that theme you've been listening to for the whole game, like you open it up, you hear this song, you open it up, you hear this song, and you're ending it and you hear this song. You're like perfect of like building up this fight. This is it. This is the end. And yes, the first phase is easy, but I would have loved it if the second phase took that fight still, but made it harder, changed up their moveset, something like that. But instead, they swap it out for a completely different boss that has a completely different theme, is not so hype at all.
Wank.
Yeah, so wank. It's an utter wank boss fight.
That's like, the way I can describe it.
Chill. And it's not easy. It's a hard fight, but it takes away the hype of this epic battle, and it turns into more of this slow paced fight of this thing, and it just took out all of the hype of that fight, and that's why I hate it so much. People may disagree with me, but I fucking do not like the final boss of this game. I think it's utter wank, as Harley put it.
There you go, right. And on that bombshell, we've been going on for a while. I think it's time to wrap up a little bit. But I was going to go through the awards. It won so many Game of the Year awards.
It won everything.
It deserves it, 100%. Do you think the game was worth the price? I'm going to say yes, 100 million. Yeah.
I didn't buy my game.
True.
But Harley was kind enough to lend his copy. But, I mean, I don't think I should be able to say it's worth the price because I didn't buy it. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I don't know how much the game is. But,
£60 or something.
£60.
Yeah.
I mean, it is expensive. Again, if there's a promotion at some point...
Unfortunately, that's the problem with...
Take advantage.
Like, modern games now is that they are getting, like, £60-70 on release, which sucks.
Because so much work and time have been put into them, it's just, like, this whole thing, so they need to get their money's worth. There's a whole conversation we could do in a whole other podcast.
Yeah, but I will say... There's many games that are the same price that don't give as much as this game does.
Yeah, agreed.
Obviously, I have my gripes with this game.
Yeah.
But I think throughout the whole podcast, like for the history of this podcast that we have, we've all, even if we didn't have a good experience, we can always recognize it's like, oh yeah, it gives a lot to the player. And I think this, alongside like all the other games we've talked about, I think... it's very much up there with how much it gives to the player, not only in their first playthrough, but multiple.
Yeah.
And like how much you miss on your first one, which I'm going currently through, but how much you'll gain from playing it more and more and more, I'm sure that's the case, from hearing what you guys have been saying. So I think it's definitely worth whatever price it is. Mm-hmm. But again, if there's a promotion at some point, that's the time to get it.
I agree. I think it's definitely worth the price. The world itself has been constructed meticulously, like offering this just deep, rich world to explore and understand. And if not, the game fully accepts the reality of just wanting to swing big sword and deal big damage. And I think that's awesome. Of like, it really is on that spectrum of being allowing you to just like be so interested, like these internet historians that sort of go into it, right? Or you can just go like, no, I want to use Kamehameha and just shred boss health bar, funny. Like, there is literally the two sides, and like this game gives you all of that option to do that. Endless replayability. You can make multiple different saves and accounts, experience the game over and over again, and because this game is so big, it won't feel like so much the same when you play it again, because you can always do things in a different order. Like, there's always something different you could do, and especially now with the DLC coming out, there's going to be even more for you to do. This game is going to be massive, and the DLC, I guess I'll shill for the DLC for just a little second. It's coming out soon. I don't think it will be out by the time this podcast comes out, but I would say nonetheless, if you're interested, I think it's definitely worth probably picking up the DLC. It's £30, and like nowadays DLCs are getting very expensive, but I think that's a banging price for what they're going to put into this DLC, and so I am looking forward to it.
Right, let's rate this game, shall we? Who's going first?
Tom?
I can go first. So again, I really struggled. I have my gripes with it. However, I'm a big fan of how, in comparison to the other Souls games, it is helpful with new players and people who just struggle at these types of games. My one thing that I think really helps, other than obviously the things that you mentioned, Tyler, the tutorial stuff, it's honestly summons are probably the best thing, or my favorite thing about this game. The fact that you can summon little things, and it really leveled up my ranking or my rating, which for me it's gonna be an 8.
I guess I'll go next. I'm going to give the game an 8. I think it's another great entry into the Souls genre. But I don't think that the combat was my preferred cup of tea in comparison to the other titles. And I think that's the only problem, right? For me, is that in reference to the other games made by From Software, I would rate this one lower. And so as a result, I can't give it a maximum. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't give it a 10 because I think that there's something that is better than it. And so I decided to give it an 8. I also mentioned that I found the boss underwhelming, the final boss underwhelming. I think that also took away from a little bit of the score. Obviously not too much, because obviously it's not the end that really matters, but like, it is a big part for me when I think about it, especially when I compare it, because from, like I've said, I much prefer Sekiro, and Sekiro is such a different game, and I think that game, to me, is what I consider to be like the peak of this From Software like series, and so that's why I decided to go with 8. And I'm curious to see in the future if maybe we'll cover Sekiro one day.
I would like to.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. But Harley, what is your rating?
Well, guess what, guys? I'm gonna give this one an 8 also.
Let's fucking go.
It's not as bad as 666, am I right?
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly same reasons why I've given it 8 as what Tyler's just explained. I agree fully. With all the negativity things. So 8.
Yeah. So I guess the overall chillin' rating for From Software's Elden Ring is an 8. This game 8. I wanted to preface.
Yes.
Because I think we're going into a little bit of a new era of the podcast.
Right.
A little bit of the way you pick games.
I guess I'll bring it up.
Talked about this.
Because I am the one talking about the next one.
Yeah, go. Please go. Go.
But yeah, we've kind of reached this point in the podcast now where we think it will be interesting to take a dive into games we all haven't played before. So in previous episodes, we've mentioned that we have played these games before. For example, Tom played Persona. Me and Harley played Elden Ring. Harley played a bit of Borderlands, etc. We've played them before. But I thought it'd be interesting to try something new. And I think that's what we'll be going forward with for a little while, is trying some new games that we haven't in a while, or haven't experienced for the first time. But I guess maybe we'll bring it up at the end of each episode, maybe, if we have played some of them before. But I think the new thing going forward is we're going to try this new style and see what this is going to be like. And for the first game in that experimentation is, drum roll please. I hope there was a drum roll there. Fallout 4. It is my chosen game.
Yep.
Well, I guess our chosen game for this month or next month, because a lot of Fallout hype recently. We had the Fallout TV show. You talked about it in the previous podcast.
We have. I recommend it.
I still haven't watched it.
You should. It's very good.
You know what?
Yeah.
Well, when we get into the next episode, we can talk about the show as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that makes sense.
This caught the game caught my interest after watching the show, as I think what happened with a lot of people. And Fallout just getting a bit of a boom recently, so we thought it would be interesting to take a dive into a franchise that we haven't played before. And
I've always known it's existed, but never really properly gone.
It being in Fortnite, now you have to. Bro. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be an interesting one. But I guess should I outro? I think I need to.
Yeah, you should.
Hey, Tyler.
Yo, guys.
You do it.
As always, we hope you enjoyed the episode. I mean, it's a fucking long one, boys. It's like 2 hours long.
It was.
But yeah, we hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, turn on the notifs so you don't miss the next one. Comment below what your favourite From Software game is if you've played it. And say,
Boss.
fuck you, Harley, if you're not reading a book.
Wow. Hey, hold on. Hey.
But yeah, I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah. And follow us on Spotify. We're on Spotify as well.
Oh, fuck. Guys, I'm never doing an outro again.
Listen on there as well. No, it's fine. It's fine.
We're on
It's
Spotify,
fine.
so if you're sick of our fucking faces, you can listen instead.
And remember,
no, end video. Go, get out. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Woo! I'm the one editing. Fuck you. Bye bye.